Okay. Hey, you guys. What is up? I don't know if I want to do that or not. Okay, guys. Bear with me here. Okay. I am outside right now. As you can see, there's a brick wall behind me, but I am enjoying this nice mid-morning breeze. I meant to come out here about 6:30 a.m., but I didn't make it out here because I'm in the South and it gets excruciatingly hot outside, really all the way up until October, sometimes December. So, anyway, I'm not sitting in the house right now because there's just unfortunately not a lot of space. Um, my mother and I are still living together in a wee tiny apartment, and it's very difficult for me to find room to record, to stream, to do much of anything. So, um, you guys bear with me. I'm just going to take my time with this one. I don't have any expectations. I have wanted to start streaming a little bit along with my regular videos that I do. This is basically, I'm going to consider this my first live stream. Um, I have tried it once before, about 2 years ago, and I just wasn't ready. I just was not ready at that time. Little did I know all hell was about to break loose in my life right after that. And I had a lot to go through, before I would be ready again. Um, and it was kind of disastrous. I cut it on, and I've been jumping on video, guys, for probably going on 10 years, 8 to 10 years. I started on Facebook and, just jumping on. But I'll tell you, that years ago and attempted my first, I just kind of froze. It was like seeing people that I knew watching me, like other channels that I respected and people I had become friends with. I don't know, I just kind of froze. And I think it's difficult. I think it's an acquired skill to do lives. And so, like I say, I don't have any expectations with this one. And, if people do run across it and make any comments, I might not be that good at, trying to read it and answer back quickly, but I'll get there. I'll get there. So let's just call this my experiment live. And as you saw in the title, we've got some subjects I'm going to get into. I'm going to jump around a little bit in this video, probably. Okay. But like I say, this is my first one. It's a test, kind of an experiment, just to see, what different times of day might be good to stream. And, I don't know. I figured late at night, honestly, would be a better time. Especially a lot of the stuff I like to talk about, sleep paralysis, dreams, out of body experiences. Thought maybe late at night would be a good time. So I don't know. I'm just testing different things. What I really want to do. Hey, Paula, how are you? Bear with me here. This is really my first test live. Just kind of testing it out and wanting to say hello to everybody and interact and kind of get the feel for it a little bit. And then I'm going to jump into a couple of topics in a minute. But ideally, my best energy is first thing in the morning. I think we all have a time of day where we have a great energy flow and we feel really good and energetic. And mine is usually somewhere between 7 and 9 a.m., 7 and 10 a.m. And so ideally, I'd like to start doing a live stream called the Early Birdie Stream. I think that would be so great. Just like come outside before the sun comes up really harsh, before it gets really hot, and find a nice little place to sit, like in the trees or, whatever, a little bit of incense, and just have my coffee, hear the birds. I love to bird watch. I love nature like that. And just do an early morning live stream. I think that would be so nice. I would love that. And ideally, that's what I'd really like to start doing. But guys, I can't get into it right now. But my circumstances, they aren't great, you know. And I don't want to be one of those people, but they're just not great. It's like it's hard for me to find time and space to do certain things. All right. Yeah, I hear you, Alan. Yeah, wife kicks you out of bed to get your butt to work. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are night owls. I used to be. But my children are grown now. They are, both of them are, they're nearly 30. My older one is 27. The baby's 26. And I guess when I was raising them all those years, I had to get used to getting up super, super early for them and getting them to school. And I just turned into an early birdie. Um, but I used to, when I was younger, I'd like to sit up all night. And there's still something about those nighttime hours, man, that you just know nobody's going to bother you. It's really, really quiet. The world has gone to sleep. There is something about nighttime that's really cool. I agree. Hello, CM. Oh, that's cool, Paula. Well, William, my channel is actually a variety of things. I don't really have a particular niche. My channel is a combination of psychological, spiritual, philosophical topics. I've got a variety of things on my channel. And actually, I've really just been kind of experimenting with it for the last few years, just kind of whatever topics I'm passionate about, whatever moves my soul to talk about, or an area that I have a lot of testimony or a lot of insight, then I'll go with that and make videos about that until I really, find something maybe in the future that I can really niche down on. But so far, that's what I've been doing on the channel. And it's all legit. Every video I've ever done, even though there are different topics within a certain umbrella, it's within a niche. As far as most all of my videos will always have something spiritual, philosophical, psychological, something within them that can be taken away as far as awareness, learning, stuff like that. Because primarily, and then I'll go ahead and get into the topic because I want to get into a couple things here, especially the term chosen ones. Okay, chosen. What is that? What is that? Why do people use that term? What do I think about it? I've got some insight on it. I just want to get into that in a minute. So, forgive me if I have a hard time. My eyesight is not as great as it used to be, but this is pretty much my first live. I'm just kind of testing the waters, you guys. So I'm just going to take my time. I'm not going to get overwhelmed. And forgive me if I can't do it all at once and answer everybody back. I'm not trying to be rude. I promise you. Holy goodness. Alan, 21, 20, 17, 15, 14. You have that many children. You have a big family. Oh, that's cool, William. Yeah, like I say, I think it's okay. Because I'm one of those people that I have so many interests, that I am passionate about. And I have a lot of testimony. I have a lot of areas that I feel in my soul. And so, again, until I kind of just cover a lot of different things. But like I say, my channel, my videos will pretty much always have a certain message within. But anyway, we're going to get onto this chosen, the topics that I listed in the title. We're going to get there in a minute. I'm just kind of interacting and seeing what happens on a live stream, watching people pop on and looking at comments. And that's the thing. It's like you can't, when you first start doing stuff like that, you can't be afraid. You have to just jump on and be yourself and check stuff out, and you just have to let people know, you know, or else you'll just get really awkward and really nervous. I've done that before. If you don't just let people know, hey, it is what it is, you know, I'm just here to chill and get the feel of this and talk to everybody for a minute. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, I'd really like to start this as a regular thing or a semi-regular thing, you know, every other day or a couple times a week at least. Just come outside in the early of the morning and do something called the early birdie stream, and just talk about different meaningful things that come across my soul, whatever energy I can channel flow through me. Um, with a nice cup of coffee in the morning. God, I just think that would be so great, and I'm gonna attempt it, you know. But tried to find a spot where I wouldn't be interrupted. I'm sitting right outside my apartment, and my mother's gonna pull up any minute. My neighbors are gonna pull up any minute, and of course they're gonna say something. You know, it's hard. It's hard to find a place not to be interrupted. So, hi James. The topic, it's like I wrote in the title. I'm gonna jump onto a couple different topics. Um, the term chosen ones, and what is that? You know, some of my thoughts on that, because you know people have a lot of different opinions. The term chosen and chosen ones in spiritual communities, and what spiritual people are going through right now in the as far as the energy levels and certain things as far as having trouble at work, having trouble in 9 to 5 jobs, having trouble in regular jobs. Yeah, I've got a few topics I'm going to kind of jump through here in just a bit. But like I say, I was just kind of trying to give it a minute, let people jump on, get the feel of it. I've seen other streamers do that, like Sloan Bella, for instance. I'm really fond of her channel. And a lot of times she'll stream for like 2 hours sometimes. And, you know, she doesn't title her streams anymore. And I think in a way that might be better, because that if you title it, it limits you. It makes you feel more obligated to a certain topic. Whereas if you don't title it, Sloan Bella, you know, likes to just jump on and do whatever the hell she wants to do and go in whatever direction she wants to go. And she used to do that with a title on there, and it would be like this specific thing. And I would click into it because I'm like, oh, I want that information. You know, these are things I'm really interested in. She's an astrologist and a psychic medium, and a very knowledgeable one at that. But here's the thing, I would jump onto her live streams, you know, and start to listen, and I had to get to know her and how she does things. It would be like an hour into the stream is where the gold is. And she would sit there and kind of shoot this shit with everybody, you know, and just talk about whatever came to mind and, you know, visit with her viewers, which I think that's okay. But, you know, she wouldn't even get into the topics until like an hour later, you know. So I had to learn, you know, her different streamers do different things. But most of the meat of her knowledge and her teaching is gold. And it's always in the middle of her lives, you know. Well, I thank you guys for being here, though. Thanks for hopping on and checking out my first live. I really appreciate that. And, but yeah, I wish the wind would stop blowing my page. Stop it. If I had my own place, I'd do a lot more. I would just cut it on. Swear to God, I'd cut it on, put it up in my kitchen, and I would just stream with you guys while I cooked and, you know, whatever I do, and just talk. And that would be really comfortable for me. But I don't have my own place right now, so I'm kind of. But I think that's cool about streaming versus regular video. And I do a lot of regular videos on my channel. In fact, this week I've put up 2 new videos. Just yesterday, I posted another video on the Watts case. If you're familiar with Chris and Shanann Watts and the Watts family homicides from 2018, I have an entire playlist on Watts family videos and, certain dynamics of the case I wanted to discuss, mostly defending Shanann and her memory from, the horrible group of people that bash her. And I'm not a true crime channel, though. I don't do true crime. It's not my thing. You'll find on my channel that there are certain cases that all cases deserve acknowledgement, you guys. I know that. But there are certain cases that really, something about them will resonate deeply with me, and I will cover that case or certain dynamics of it. The Watts case is one of those cases on my channel. And just recently, I ran across Sarah Boone. Do you guys know of her? It's like nobody seems to know about this because it's died down. It happened 4 years ago. 2020, February of 2020, guys. And this one, the Watts case got me. I've also been talking about Selena Quintanilla and Yolanda Saldivar. I'm a huge Selena fan. Her case is 30 years old, but because of the dynamics of the covert narcissist, Yolanda Saldivar and Chris Watts are both covert type narcissists. I've been covering videos on Selena Quintanilla and her life along with the Watts case. So that's 2 cases, but I am not true crime. But a third case I have run upon recently, and then I'll get on into the topics. Just this week, where the hell was I? I guess I was going through the pandemic like everybody else. February 24th, 2020 is when this one happened, right? Okay. And Sarah Boone and her boyfriend, Jorge Torres. I don't know if they pronounce it George or Jorge. I believe that Jorge is George in Spanish. Y'all, this one hurt, okay? Because I lost my partner last year. He was 46 years old, and he passed away from throat cancer last September. It really hurt me because I'm still grieving big time. And I don't care what somebody has done to you. I've been all through it, you guys. I've been all through toxic relationships. I've been all through the ups and downs and sideways. And, I've dealt with more than my fair share of things that I didn't deserve. And, I've learned a lot. But I have always come out of it with a pure heart. I've always been determined to grow through those things instead of becoming a bitter heart, a black heart, a vengeful heart, a resentful heart. It's not even worth it. You don't do that to somebody that you actually love or loved at one point. You don't do stuff. You don't take revenge on people you and soul with and heart with. But see, that's the thing in this world. A lot of people aren't really connecting. They're not really, really loving and connecting and supporting one another in these damn relationships. A lot of times they're just shacking up. Or, I don't know, they're connecting on very surface levels and they're coming in with a lot of trauma behind them and a lot of baggage in their soul, unresolved traumas and issues. And here comes that wounded inner child that's going to be triggered up when you're sexual with someone. All that stuff is happening, and then you put alcohol in the middle of it, and honey, that is gasoline. That is gasoline. Drugs and alcohol in the middle of a relationship. And I've got a lot of experience with all that stuff. My entire family has struggled for years with shit like addiction and mental illness and personality disorders and all kinds of different things. But, I do believe that case with Sarah Boone, alcohol. My partner was a severe alcoholic before he passed away. And the shit that I had to see coming through him when he was drunk and intoxicated, I will always believe that alcohol opens a portal. So anyway, Sarah Boone, the case was that I ran upon this week. She and her boyfriend, 42 at the time, they decide one night, drunken hide and seek. And he suffocates. She comes down 12 hours later and he's dead. And so I just ran across this case this week. Again, it happened 4 years ago, but it's resurfacing because they're just now taking her to trial. This trial starts October 7th of this year. So that's all coming up. And she's been in jail for 4 years because she's had 8 attorneys. 8 attorneys have withdrawn from her case. I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is, but now she's left to represent herself. Crazy, y'all. But this case, I just put a new video out about it, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. Like, certain cases grab me, and I do something within that case will resonate with me, and I will feel compelled to speak on it or share, some type of knowledge. So that video is on my page right now. The case of Sarah Boone and Jorge Torres. The suitcase, whatever you want to call it. Drunken suitcase, hide and seek. I have a lot of questions about this case, and I really felt for that man because there's videos all over the internet. She filmed it. There's literally video footage all over the internet of this man begging for his life, and you can tell it's the part in the game where it's not a joke anymore. And it's like, Sarah, he keeps calling her name. It's like, come on, let me out. I can't breathe. Imagine, though, a grown-ass man is crumpled up into fetal position enough to get in a suitcase, right? He was only supposed to be in there a couple minutes, if that. They were supposedly playing hide and seek. And, I have a lot of questions. I'm assuming he put himself in there and because they both thought it would be fun to hide him in the suitcase. I mean, I don't get the point, though, if you know where the person is. But I just feel like he had to have gotten in there willingly, and they were both drunk, and they were both really fucked up. And guys, that is when terrible shit happens, especially with alcohol involved. And that is when, if you check out my video on the page, that's what I'm discussing. That is when a lot of her resentments towards him began to come out. Hey, because they both had this, I'm on the phone, they both had this history. I think I left the door unlocked. They both had, oh, did I lock it? Well, there's been some strange guy walking around, so I probably locked it. Yeah, I'm just trying to sit out here and do this before it gets too hot. I didn't think it was. James. Good comment. Good comment. And we're about to get into that, okay? The chosen topic, the chosen term, whatever, people think that means, and the whole job thing. And I agree with your comment. The energy. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I want to get into a little bit of how the energy seems to be threatening to some, or there's something about it. I have a lot to say about that. Just hard to find an uninterrupted spot. But yeah, I have a lot to say on that topic for sure. But to finish up the whole Sarah Boone thing, just check out my video. It's on the page if you guys are interested in the case. It's going to trial October 7th. And bottom line is I really, really felt for this man. I don't care what he did. They both had a history, though, of alleged DV on each other. Charging each other with, different types of abuse or whatever, and then going and bailing each other out, and all this whole thing. So I think a lot of her resentments began to come out once he got in that suitcase. I don't know if it was premeditated or planned. I don't think she really meant to him. I really don't, because you can tell on the police body cam the next day she is rattled. You can tell it in her energy and her aura. She's in shock. I don't think she meant to do it, to take him out. But she had the look of a classic. Oh my God, I lived with it for years. An alcoholic who gets way too effed up the night before and does all kinds of sadistic shit. Because for people with unresolved trauma, for people who aren't getting therapy and they're carrying around a lot of repressed issues and trauma from their past and mad at their boyfriend, whatever, um, those types of alcoholics get very sadistic when they drink. That's when it all comes out, all that repressed anger and everything you did to me and everything you've done to me in the past. And that is what began to happen to Sarah Boone after she got Jorge in the suitcase and they were playing this drunken hide and seek. Because you can clearly hear her slurring her words. She's drunk out of her mind. And she zips his ass all the way up and she goes upstairs to sleep. I guess she thought that maybe he could get out. I don't know what the hell the lady was thinking, y'all. But I have a lot to say on that kind of thing, and that's why I made a video about it. It's on my page now, as far as alcoholism in relationships. And I really felt bad for the guy because he didn't do anything to her that night. She admitted they were having a great night. Um, but you can tell the next day when she calls the cops out and the ambulance out, and you can tell she's clearly rattled, and she's got that look of an alcoholic who fucked up. Oh, I saw it on my partner many times. The next day, that look of, oh my God, lots of anxiety, not remembering everything they had done the night before. How bad was it? She kind of had that energy about her. So, I could tell within her energy that this wasn't like a premeditated thing on her part to her partner. Um, she just really got effed up out of her mind and let the anger come out and get the best of her and took this game way too far and passed the hell out drunk, completely drunk, and woke up the next day like, oh, you know. And I still have a lot of questions on how a grown ass man couldn't possibly somehow fight his way out of that suitcase, crumpled up in there. His lungs couldn't expand. He's in the fetal position in a suitcase, and his lungs couldn't expand. He shouldn't have been in there very long at all. So anyway, I have a lot of questions about it. It really hurt my heart and got to me because I lost my partner last year, and he was an alcoholic, and all these different things. And that poor man didn't deserve that. I don't give a damn what he did to her. I don't care. I do not care. But I'll be making a part 2 to that video as the trial starts in October. I'll be doing a follow-up video, with some different thoughts on that case. But you don't do that to somebody that you love, that you supposedly love. And you shared time with. You just don't do that. So, absolute condolences. And my heart goes out to his mother. I've seen her on the news a couple times. Even though this case is 4 years old, like I said, it's just now going to trial. So, all right, guys, let's talk about this whole chosen thing. I'm uncomfortable. I should have brought a pillow out here to sit on because I'm sitting on the concrete and it's hurting me. Like I said earlier when I first got on, I'm just testing out live. It's basically my first stream, and I'm just kind of getting the feel of it. Just kind of taking my time. I don't really have any huge expectations for it. Just kind of getting the feel of interacting with people and talking about different things, getting warmed up. I appreciate you all for checking in with me, though. Okay. Let me get turned around here because I am hurting. My bum is hurting. I'm sitting on awful concrete. Ow! Oh. Sorry. It's ridiculous. Well, next time I know, I will bring a pillow. Because how can you talk about anything when you're super uncomfortable? All right, so the word chosen, y'all. I'm also going to bring something to set this phone on next time because it's way too far down. The word chosen. All right. I don't really care for that word. I mean, I don't use it that much. I never use it. But I want to talk about it because I understand it. I understand. I'm one of those people that can understand just about anything because a lot of things are going to be what you give it meaning, what meaning you give to it. And we spend a lot of time in this world getting offended by things. There's a lot of people that are offended by that word chosen or chosen ones or offended by a lot of things. And the thing is, man, I've been there. I've been there. And it was when I was at my most broken. It was when the wounds were fresh. The breakup was fresh, or the divorce, or the trauma, or the loss, or the death of a family member, or the loss of a job, or this, that, and the other. Something wasn't going my way. Something was raw in me. That would be when I would be at my most offended or my most triggered. Other than that, once you heal those things and you really work on yourself, you don't have time to be triggered by other people. You don't give a shit who's arrogant, who's not. That doesn't bother you if somebody else is being arrogant. Yeah, they're annoying. Super arrogant people can be very annoying and, just like, and if they try to hurt other people or step across those lines, then that's when we have a problem with it. But other than that, getting offended by people calling themselves chosen or anointed one or one of God's chosen, or I just don't. I'm just at a point in my life where it really is to each their own. Live and let live. Get out of here, Pie. And I guess at a time in my own healing process where I realized that everybody's on different levels. They're right where God wants them to be. If that's bad, if that's good, and really, who am I to say? Unless they really are stepping on me or mine or really bringing dangerous harm, where I have to stand up and go, all right, and do something about it. Other than that, I just feel like I'm at this point in my own spiritual evolution where I understand that everyone is right where God wants them to be in their own growth process and spiritual ascension and evolution process, and the lessons they need to be learning at the time, whether that's hard or not, and I've had to come to realize that. And yeah, we're human. As long as we live on this earth, we're going to have some ego. We're not going to be able to get rid of all of that ego, but we can get rid of quite a bit of it that doesn't serve us. We can get rid of the parts of it that do not serve us and our growth process. We can do the best we can, but we're always going to have a little bit of ego as long as we're here on earth. We have to navigate this damn place, or we would be crushed. We wouldn't survive this place. But yeah, there's a lot of ego out there, and there are a lot of people thumping that chosen word around. Um, a lot of people just do shit for views. They'll say anything. They'll put any title. They'll they'll even say things wrong on purpose. I've seen that a million times. They'll spell things wrong on purpose. They'll say things wrong on purpose. They will say shit to get rises out of people on purpose. It's just for views. A lot of times they don't even really care what the hell's coming out of their mouth. They don't care what energy they're putting out to the universe, to the world. It is what it is. But the whole chosen term, I'm not going to say either way, whether I think that's good or bad, whether people should or should not use that term, or, be that, or, damn it. I knew it. I knew something was going to kick on where it was going to affect my freaking sound quality. These air condensers around here. That's their business, I guess I'm going to hold this thing where y'all can see me better. Okay. I'm at 35 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go for a little bit longer. Because, yeah, I haven't even really hit the main title topics yet. Really just been trying to get warmed up and get comfortable. The wind is blowing all my shit away, y'all. But yeah, this is just a practice run, really. And I think the more I jump on and do these, the more I get to knowing people, I think the more comfortable I'll get and the better I'll get at it. Yeah. But chosen, okay? The thing is, I don't really prefer to use that, and I don't go around saying I'm a chosen one, I'm chosen by God, or I this or I that. But I'm not really offended at people who do, like I said. That's them, man. I don't have any need to be offended by them. They're in their lane. And wherever they are in their ego mind at that time, whatever level they're on in their ego at that time, that's not for me to say. They may need to be in an egotistical point in their life right now for growth purposes, for psychological and spiritual growth purposes. That may be what God wants for them right now. You know what I'm saying? So for us to fly off the handle and be too judgy and too, who do you think you are, and why do you think you're chosen, and why do you use that word, and they may need to be right there. We have to remember that, y'all. And I'm not excusing people hurting each other or getting away with horrific things. I'm not saying that at all. But I have personally come to a higher understanding, okay? It's better to look around at everybody and go, okay, that person is right where they need to be right now. That is their evolutionary path, spiritually, psychologically. Just like I had to get certain steps, they got to get them too. And we're all on different levels and timelines with this kind of shit. Now, I know there's some arrogant people thumping that chosen word around. And I will say, some of those people do get on my nerves sometimes. Some of these chicks sitting up and, I'm anointed and I'm God's chosen one, and, we're chosen, but yet living their everyday life with the nastiest attitude you could ever imagine. Taking revenge on people, and that's not where it's at, y'all. And so when I see shit like that, I don't even let it bother me. It's none of my business. I just look at it like whatever. But let's break this chosen thing down, okay? Now, I'm not saying that it's not meaningful. I understand what it means, and I understand what it means in a very multidimensional way, on many, many levels, from many perspectives. There isn't just one perspective for everything. It's all very multidimensional. Chosen can mean a lot of things. And if we're specifically referring to this in spiritual context, I mean, if you want to take that word, it can mean a lot of things in regular everyday life. Different people are chosen for different things, okay? It just depends on the context they're trying to slap to it. I heard one girl say, we're all chosen. There is no specific set group of chosen ones, or, guys, it's confusing. When you're a highly spiritual being, and there's so many different spiritual coaches and teachers and mentors and all this different schools of thought out there, and different religions, and everybody feeling and believing something different. I know it can be very confusing. Human beings are really terrible about wanting to find what is right. What's the answer? What is the specific answer? And really, there isn't one. We have to learn to live in the question. Somebody once said, learn to live in the question because the answer might kill you. Oh, shit. Okay. Humans are terrible about not wanting to hang out in the uncertainty, in the unknown, in the abstracts. But that's where a lot of knowledge is. not being so desperate to, it's this, no, it's that, no, it's this way, no, it's this answer. Humans want that certainty. They want answers. They want control. But we're not in control of shit, you know? And really, there's a lot of wisdom in the unknown, in the surrender, in the letting go of all that need to, I've got to fit everything into specific labels and specific categories, and it has to be this, that, this, and the other. I'm not into all that. I just, there are people that do that, but that's not how I see things. I've had to come to a much larger understanding in the past couple of years, a much higher perspective from where I was. And I'm very fond of the teachings of Dolores Cannon, and people like her. So I have my certain beliefs that I kind of resonate with about why we're here, what we're doing here spiritually, what these life incarnations are about. And for me personally, I'm curious. I like to examine, I like to question, and I leave my mind open so that my consciousness can expand, because we are forever growing, you guys. We're forever learning. As long as we're here on this earth, we are eternal students. And I feel called upon really to talk about this kind of thing. It nags at me and nags at me. It's been doing me that way for years, to focus in more particularly on this type of stuff. Even though when I started my channel, again, I cover whatever comes through my soul that I feel passionate to speak up on, usually psychological, relational trauma, relationship stuff, childhood stuff to do with psychology, traumatic upbringing, that type of thing, or spiritual stuff. But the whole time this channel it's been working its way around to what I am most passionate about and what I do feel most called upon to speak on, which is the spiritual stuff, okay? And so there's going to be a lot of theories out there, and it can keep you confused, but the whole time your consciousness is expanding too. The more knowledge you take in, it's like every other day, I find some new theory, or listening to different podcasts and the work of Dolores Cannon or different spiritual teachers. She was a QHHT, quantum hypnosis healing technique. She did that for up around 50 years or so with hundreds of clients, regressing them into past life states. She wrote many, many books, and I'm really, really fond of her work. And so there are points where I hear people talking about people who have gone back through past life regressions and different things. I hear them talking about, volunteers, that certain people volunteered to come here. There's the theory that we chose our incarnation, and I lean heavily towards feeling that way, that we chose our incarnation, we set it up, we decided what lessons we were going to work on in this lifetime and what people we were going to need in this lifetime to assist us with those lessons, to present those opportunities for us to grow, to get angry, to get hurt, to get this, to get that. That's a big, huge possibility. But I'm one of these people that likes to not get offended, not get angry with anyone, but examine the possibilities. They're endless, y'all. They are endless. The expansion of the consciousness goes on and on and on. I believe that's partly what we're here for, And so I have a hard time limiting to just one answer, one label, who's chosen, who's not. I think that can be broken down and looked at in many different ways. Whether we volunteered to incarnate here and work on certain things in this lifetime, then there's other theories that, I believe sometimes it can be many different circumstances happened. I know people that, like my brother, for instance, he struggled all his life. I know people that just really have never wanted to be here. and something in their soul has just really struggled here in this earthly existence. And I feel like there might be cases where people were, I won't say forced to come here, or, I won't go that far, but they were more pushed to come here and didn't want to incarnate. I've heard cases like that. I listen to past life regressions a lot. I listen to a lot of different things, okay? And my own inner knowing, my own inner knowledge, my own dream experiences and sleep paralysis and out of body experiences. And so this whole chosen thing, I think it's going to depend on how you look at it. I feel in some ways, each and every one of us are chosen. We are all in this collective earth incarnation alive together right now, y'all. We are going through this together. And I know it's hard not to feel separate from everybody else sometimes and misunderstood and they don't have anything to do with me. They're not my family. But if you really stop and think about it, okay? We are all alive at this moment. All 7 billion of us. We are all alive at this very moment together on this planet Earth. Y'all, I hope y'all can hear me over that damn air conditioner. I'm so sorry. I hope it'll cut off in a minute. But we're all going through this experience collectively right now. And I just feel like in some ways, it's going to be about how you apply that term chosen one. Chosen. If you look at it in a certain way, we were all chosen. We all chose to incarnate here in this lifetime. I think that we're all here on different life missions to accomplish different things. And it's going to be different for everybody. There are people in this life who are solely devoting themselves to spiritual growth and knowledge and study. I'm watching this freaking wasp. I hate wasps, y'all. Fucker. It should be the time of year where they're going away. There are going to be people who devote themselves to that kind of lifestyle more than others. And even that is on different levels. You've got people who never marry, never have children, they become a priest or a nun, go into a convent, they devote their entire life to serving God or serving, the highest one, or, whatever you want to call that. They devote their entire life to their spiritual side. And then on other levels, there are people like, out here like me, living my everyday life, doing what I do, like all of my life since I've been born onto this earth. I've had a very deeply spiritual side and a very deeply spiritual calling nags at me. And I've always been very tuned in to energy and the spirit realm and different types of teachings. And growing up in a very abusive and traumatic family, I had to go to therapy, and I was kind of taught and introduced that in a young age, that that's what you do. You go to therapy, you look inward. So it started out psychological, and I'm really glad I was able to get a good psychological foundation and work through a lot of those trauma wounds. And it's taken a lifetime, guys. I'm approaching 50 soon. I turned 48 this summer. And it's some things, that fucking wasp, wish it would go away. Some things are with you your entire life, and it takes a lot of work. It's not something you just snap your finger and say, I'm over it. I don't even remember that. That never happened, whatever. I have literally been doing this type of work on myself all of my life. Whether I was raising my children, whether I was working, no matter what else was going on, I always had to be devoted to my own personal growth, self-actualization process, ripping out all the wiring that I was born into and rewiring it over the years, going through things with partners and relationships. I call them assistants because that's kind of how I view it. different people come into your life at different times to assist you with your spiritual growth. You're going to go through things with them. Um, and sometimes I feel like some of it's karmic debt too. We're here to wipe out some karmic debt. I just think there's a lot of possibilities. And I don't get angry or too extreme about any one particular belief. I think it's deep like that, y'all. So, chosen is going to be about how you want to see it, whatever perspective you want to put it in. Um, I don't believe in being super arrogant about it, going around thumping around. I'm chosen, and a lot of times spiritual people get a bad look and they get a bad reputation. Um, Other people think that's egotistical and arrogant, and here's the damn thing about it. Like I said, there are different people chosen for different things. So in some ways we're all chosen, but not for the same things. So they're not necessarily lying, they're not necessarily wrong. They might be really chosen. That is a calling on their name. Who is this? Bashar talks about going towards the path of the highest excitement. What is that you feel inside that calls on your name, that calls in your soul? It nags and it nags no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. It's always in there nagging in that deeper intuition. Do this. Pay attention to this. Speak this. Write this. Create this. Whatever. There are certain people chosen for certain things as far as contributing to lifting the vibrational frequency of the collective consciousness and of humanity. So that's the thing. And it's not a superior thing, man. It's not a better than, worse than, they're higher than, lower than. If you have a spiritual life, you're so much better than somebody else. Let me tell you something. The way I see it could be a garbage man or a ditch digger or that don't give any two shits about developing their spiritual life or about talking about spiritual life. But there is something that they're doing out there while they're digging that ditch, or what they're doing in their everyday life and how they interact with other people. Or, guys, it's infinite. That is their purpose. That is what they chose to incarnate into, and or that is what they were chosen to do. That is how it is supposed to manifest through their particular life and their energy. And they are just as important, just as relevant in the spirit realm and spiritually and in this world as anyone else, as a more well-known spiritual teacher or as anyone else. I feel that way, that every single being has their part that they agreed to come and do and experience and contribute, and or these possibilities are open, they're infinite, they're multidimensional, and or were chosen to do that particular thing in that particular way, to bring it to this world that particular way. No matter how small, it begins to ripple out, and it will ripple out into the collective consciousness, no matter how small you think it is. So chosen, again, it's going to be all about how you want to look at it, what perspective you want to put that in. But I get what people are saying. Sometimes people get sick. It's annoying. They get tired of, people walking around calling themselves chosen ones this and chosen ones that. And so what? Let them. To each their own is really the way I see it. Um, I don't use that term very often, but I don't have anything against people who do. But I'll say this: if you are highly spiritual, and man, look, that's not an arrogant thing. That's not I'm not it's not saying that is not when I say stuff like that, it is not designed, it's not coming from a place of ego. It is not meant to separate me from everyone else. It is not a fucking arrogant thing. It's not a superior thing. It's a soul thing with me. It is something that has always been important to me since I was a child. It is what resonates with my soul. I've always had a very rich inner world. I grew up in a lot of trauma, and like I say, I've always been highly connected to that type of thing. For some of us, it's more important than anything else. It's always been there. It's always been the undercurrent that we were called, that we were going to share, we were going to testify, we were going to. I used to have so much creative life force. I used to write songs. I used to sing. I used to design, decorate. Everything that I did, energy would just flow from me. Whatever, that high frequency, creative life force, guys, that's what it's all about. And I always knew deep inside that I wanted to express many, many things. I wanted to do something with the childhood that I endured and what I had to learn from it, and a lot of the horrific things I had to go through and experience. And then as I developed my spiritual life over the years and started going through my own spiritual ascension process and all that stuff over the years, that nagging and that calling became stronger and stronger. So here's the thing: not everybody's going to be called to that, y'all. And that's fucking okay. It doesn't make the ones that are called to that, to do this, to whatever, it doesn't make anybody better than anybody else or more superior or greater, because every fucking blade of grass here matters. I've had to learn so much spiritually. Everything matters. Everyone matters. Everyone, from the tiniest part that you may think is insignificant in this world, the tiniest act of kindness, even if you aren't called, even if you don't give two shits about religion, spirituality, praying, meditation, going to church, um, reading Bible, reading spiritual books, um, anything to do with spirituality or religion, even if that is so far removed from your life, but the way you feel and experience spirit and God and higher power and goodness is through your kind acts. Maybe you take your neighbor a hot meal in the evenings, or maybe you carry the groceries for them, or maybe you look after your sister's kids and give them love and attention, and that flows through you. I can name 100,000 things. Maybe you're a nurse or a doctor. Maybe you work with troubled children. Maybe you work with disabled people. But maybe you're not spiritual. Maybe you don't give a damn to talk about spiritual. Maybe you keep that to yourself. That's okay. Not everybody's going to be called to speak like that, to put that out there. Not everybody's going to be called to feel God, higher power, feel their spiritual life in the same exact way. That's where we get into trouble. That's where religion is. You know, it wants to put everything in these little confined boxes, and it has to just be this, 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 and this. And oh, if it's not, we're gonna be so angry and judgmental of you, and we're offended. Come on, I don't even go anywhere near that kind of shit. My mind is way too expanded for that. Um, but you get what I'm saying, guys. Some people, and it could be in this, it could be in this context, chosen, like I said, maybe they chose it themselves, chose a very, very spiritual life path. And a lot of times, really highly spiritual people have also chosen very traumatic life paths. There's always that, you know, like I said earlier, I really lean towards believing we choose our incarnations, we choose our life lessons, we choose our life paths. So, chosen has to be put into perspective. I just thought I would elaborate a little bit on that and, you know, give off some thoughts on it, a little bit of perspective, because there are a lot of people that just really get highly offended by it, or just wonder what the hell do people mean by that. Um, but that's my thoughts on it. I don't really. There are some people that believe, you know, that there are God's specific chosen ones, and that if you are, you know, highly favored by God and highly favored in the spirit realm, I've heard people talking like this before. And again, I'm one of these people that's very open minded. I open my mind to all possibilities. So sometimes I take stuff like that in and I just kind of wonder, you know, what do I think about that? And sometimes I think, yeah, if you're attempting to do the right things in life and keep your heart pure and you are not turning bitter and vengeful and you're watching your intentions, sometimes I think that if you're trying to be a good person in life and keep that energy in a good space, that maybe that is favored. And I have seen times in my life where that was favored, where I did feel like I was being watched after by angels and where I did feel blessed and favored. Um, but I don't think that's more about energetic alignment than it is about being favored. That's just more about how energy works and learning how to manipulate energy in a positive way and get control of your own energy and get it aligned properly so that you can actually manifest the right things in your life. That's more about, to me, that's more about vibrational frequency than it is about being favored. Because really, I think when it gets down to it, I think we're all the same. You know, I think that we're on different levels, we're doing different things here, but spiritually, I feel like on the universal scale, we're all the same. Nobody is better than anybody, you know? And I know that's hard to take because there's some people on this earth that really, on the scale of things, it looks like they're not doing shit. They're just causing fucking problems. They're just being assholes. They're just being lazy. They're just, you know, really bringing stress to people and chaos to people. And I get that. I've been through that, you know, but again, on a higher spiritual perspective, I have to see that they're here. And on a spiritual scale, you know, I just really try not to judge, that I have to understand that for some reason they are in that position right now and that's who and where they are on their own spiritual level. And you know, in a way it's like, who am I? Why would I have the audacity to play higher power or higher judge of where their life path should be right now and how they should be acting or not. Now, granted, I have the right to protect myself and say, hey, I don't like the fucking way you act, and this is my space and my boundary, and I don't want to be around that shit. I have the right, we all have the right to do that. But as far as me just really sitting back judging, like, oh, you shouldn't be living your life that way, you shouldn't be doing this, and God, what are you doing on this earth? And oh, that's fucked up, and you're just nothing. And no, no, because you just never know. That may be exactly where God needs them to be right then for certain reasons. So, the job thing. Let's talk about the job thing, okay? And I still have a lot more to say about chosen ones, and we could break that down into eternity, but maybe more later. But again, there are going to be some people who they are choosing this path, but at the same time, it's a calling that's almost beyond their control. It is a calling, a nagging. It's in their intuition deeply. It's with them all the time to focus on their spiritual life, to pay attention to the spirit realm, to receive the messages, to speak to others, to provide testimony of their life, to do it in a certain way, to get up in the morning and pray and meditate or whatever it is. And not everybody's going to be on that path and devoted to that. And what I'm trying to say is that's perfectly okay. There's no judgment there. It doesn't make those of us who are living like that or on that path any fucking better than anybody else. It's just different. It's just different. But I will say this, those who are committed to their spiritual life, those who are listening to those callings, I believe we're all gifted and we all have different abilities. I just don't believe we're all tuned into those things. Not everybody picks up on them because of their own distractions, their own, maybe it's not meant for them to in this lifetime. Maybe they got other shit going on. It doesn't make anybody better than, less than, any of that. It's just different. Just different, right? But I will say this, when you are spiritual, and so many people scoff at this shit, so many people mock it, and, fuck them, let them, whatever. I don't care. I know what the hell I've experienced in my life, and I know what I feel. And I have always, ever since I was a child running in the streets in very deadly and dangerous situations and having to survive, I have always listened to that inner knowing, that spirit guide, that that deeply intuitive knowledge. Always trusted it. Always. It kept my ass alive. I will always trust that. So that makes shit to me what other people think or how they laugh or how they mock or what they think is real and what they do not. But I'm not going to go around with arrogant head up in the air like it's some big fucking deal if they're not as intuitive as me, because I know there are people that are way more intuitive than me, way more gifted at it. So I appreciate what I've got. I work with what I've got. I tune in deeply to what I'm given. And so what I'm saying is, guys, if you are on a path like that where you do pick up on your spiritual gifts, where you are extremely energetically sensitive, where you are working on your spiritual ascension process, if you're a highly spiritual person on a path like that, here's the thing, it's harder. It is harder for us than other people. And I'm not saying that's superior or that's arrogance or that's better than them. And by any means, it's not. We go through a lot of shit just to be dedicated to that, you know? And the thing is when you incarnate into this life, I know the balance. We are not to totally disregard this life and just live constantly in the spirit realm and just constantly, you know, can't see the forest for the fucking trees. You miss out on your entire life spending time with your loved ones, seeing the beauty of this earth because you're always so fucking tuned out trying to be in the spirit realm or trying to figure out why you're here or too wrapped up. I, I balance that. When I go too far one direction, I pull that balance back. I refocus in the here and now. And when I get too far wrapped into the here and now to where it's overwhelming and stressy and it's getting too fucking serious, and I need to remember that a lot of times a lot of this shit is illusion and matrix and bullshit. Then I will pull myself back to the other direction a little bit. I always, have to keep that balance. But I will say this, if you are a highly spiritual being, person that's focusing on a lot of that, then here's the thing. Your vibrational frequency is going to change a lot. It's going to keep rising. You're always going to be going through different processes, getting spiritual upgrades, downloads. You're always going to be channeling and overcome with, waves of energy and emotion and creative life force. And you're going to be doing things in a certain manner. And here's a prime example. I'm going to get into talking about real quick the whole working the regular job thing, working the 9 to 5 thing. And it's weird because I see this as something that's trending lately. Um, and it's really gotten me to thinking on a more deep level. I feel like it is because of the consciousness shift. It is because the vibrational frequency of Earth and the collective consciousness, all of this has been shifting over into a much higher dimensional frequency. I guess a lot of teachers talk about it's going into fifth dimensional consciousness or whatever, much higher frequency, and it's been very low vibrational, very dense, and a lot of us have been experiencing a lot of symptoms and going through a lot of things. I know I have in the last year or 2 years. But here, guys, just to keep it simple, a lot of people don't understand that kind of shit, about spiritual life or when you are devoted to that type of thing. For instance, a good example to break this down, and we do, we have trouble on regular jobs. We have trouble fitting into certain things. And for me, it's been about the energy. It has become more and more difficult for me to survive around certain vibrational frequencies. And I think this is happening to a lot of people. A lot of people are feeling this whole collective consciousness shift. And this would relate back to chosen and callings and those who do have spiritual callings. Not everybody does, and that's okay. Their spiritual calling is at the hospital working with patients or working with children or driving a truck or um, this, that, and the other. But those who do have highly spiritual callings in their soul and on their name, and they have certain testimony to give, and that's been activated, I absolutely feel like there's a point where it will become so activated within you that you can't run from it anymore. You can't get away from it. The energy becomes so powerful and it becomes so excruciating for you to fit into lower vibrational frequencies at that point, whether that's on a fucking job, wherever that is, whether it's in your home life, around your friendship crowd. It becomes literally excruciating to your energy field. therefore driving you to focus in more on your calling, on what you are supposed to contribute to the collective consciousness and the uplifting of the frequency of humanity and all that. So, an example, and guys, I'm probably going to clip this here in just a little bit. This was my test live. I will do another live pretty soon, but I just want to get my feet wet. I'm going to clip this one pretty soon, but I was determined to do this one today, just to try it out and interact for a little bit and see how it works. And I'm glad. I'm proud that I did this today. But yeah, I probably won't get to. I'll run through it. The later part of the stuff I mentioned in the title, the sleep paralysis, out of body experiences, the beings that you feel around you when you're having sleep paralysis, all of that. I have videos about all of that on my page. I've been working on a series about sleep paralysis and out of body experiences. I had it for years. I've got a lot of experience with it. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Other than the cases I run across that I feel compelled to speak on, primarily my channel is taking more and more of a spiritual turn. And the stuff I've got experience with there and the stuff that I'm really, really passionate about, that I've been wanting to get around to. And, like Bashar says, follow the path of the highest excitement, and you can't go wrong. What really makes you come alive, what gives you chills, what makes your day, what makes you smile, what you feel really good doing. And I know a lot of people are going to shit on that, but that's not life, and life is hard, and life is dubba-dabba-dubba. Whatever. Okay, yeah, I fucking know it is. I've been there and done it, honey. Path of the highest excitement. Intuitively get with that. Feel whatever that is. Don't take it out of context. It doesn't mean if you're super excited about doing horrible, devious, sadistic things, go do them. You better fix that. I don't know what to tell you there. Go to therapy or something. But no, it's talking about positive things. The things that excite you the most, the creative things, the calling, the hobbies, whatever is in your soul, that path of that highest excitement that really gets your soul going. I believe it's Bashar that says when you follow that, you can't go wrong. It's not going to happen overnight, but that is how you know that is the path God intended for you. That is how you know that you're starting to align with the right path. Now, it's not necessarily just going to, your wildest dreams unfold overnight. No, you're going to put effort. You're going to put energy. You're going to face things that you may not want to face. You're going to have to dig up courage, but the path of the highest excitement. Yeah. And when you feel that, that's learning to listen and feel what you need to do rather than thinking about it super logically and overthinking it. That talks us out of a lot of shit of the soul that's really meant for us to do by overthinking it. But yeah, towards the end, before I clip, I'll get into the whole sleep paralysis out of body experience. And yeah, the beings that a lot of people report while they're having sleep paralysis, and what those are, why they're there. I've also recently started a brand new Facebook page for sleep paralysis, and it's called Sleep Paralysis and the Astral Project. And it's going to be strictly devoted just to information on sleep paralysis, out-of-body experiences, multidimensional travel, my life experiences with this. So anyway, they're nothing to be afraid of. They're just energy. Those beings. People, report seeing demons, witches, hags. But that'll be another live stream. I've focused too long on the chosen. But I'm going to give an example, guys, about the working the regular job thing. And here's the thing, and it's happened to me several times, but me, I'm getting older. Things are going to change for me. I'm not that same 25-year-old that can just bounce into these restaurants and wait those tables like I used to. And oh, don't get me wrong, I've still got great energy. But things are different for me now. I've got a knee that swells. I've got to wear compression socks. My back kills me. My neck kills me. I've got a heart, it's not a heart condition, but I have an anxiety disorder. And sometimes my heart jumps into an abnormal rhythm at 225, and I take a beta blocker, and I can't have stress on the job anymore. It's things change when you get into middle age, okay? It's not as easy to go out and do these fucking jobs that we used to do, right? We have to find things that are easier on our bodies and less stressful. So it is going to depend on your age, but I think people of all ages are feeling this. Whether they're in their 20s, Gen Z, whether they are middle freaking age like me, or whether they're at retirement age. Especially if you are a highly spiritual person and you are very, very energetically sensitive, and you are continuing to grow through your spiritual ascension process and your self actualization process. If you're one of those people, then yes, you are most likely. And I was feeling very alone with this, like I was the only one, until I have noticed. I ran across a video just last night of a guy who was talking about the level of despair, absolute despair that he feels having to be confined to these regular jobs every day. And I've been noticing more and more people reporting this kind of thing. Well, I've been going through the shit for years because of my anxiety disorders and because of different things. But I am not a lazy person. I want to make that clear right up front. I am not a lazy person. I can't stand laziness. I've always been highly driven, highly motivated, highly ambitious. I've raised 2 children. I worked waiting tables and went to school and got my associate's degree while raising them. I was a very determined person because my childhood was all fucked up and backwards. I didn't even get to finish through the 7th grade because I was in the streets and I was running and I was doing this and I was doing that and going through trauma and going through hell and put in institutions and put in foster care. Got married early, slipped all the way through the cracks, never set foot in a high school, had to self-educate. That story's on my page too, where I went back and without a GED was able to get into school and get my associate's degree. And that was very healing for me. Not that I did anything with that associate's. I didn't, circumstances and shit. I didn't get to go build onto it and finish my bachelor's as I would like to have, but that video is on my page too. It's about messengers who come up to you from out of the blue. And yeah, the story of me being able to go and get my degree and who inspired me to do it was a strange woman in a park. And I know without a doubt that she was a messenger from God. A messenger. She was like an angel, like a spirit guide trying to reach me. And the information and the encouragement and the push that she gave me that day, it paid off. She was right. So anyway, that video is on my channel. But an example of trying to, for instance, the work thing. Before I go to work, if I'm going to work a regular job, and see, I was in the restaurant industry for years. I like jobs where I can move around a lot, stay busy, the day goes fast, meet and greet people. And I've had to train myself over the years to really be in that energy, to really give the customers an authentic experience, a good energetic experience when they come into whatever restaurant I'm working at. And I had to train myself a long, long time ago. A lot of it was Buddhist teachings, Um, we used to have a little Buddhist center here in town. I would take my little boys down there and I would expose them to a lot of different kinds of things as long as it was positive and opening up the consciousness. And we would sit in a circle and they would pass around food, fruit, and we would just kind of sit there in the awareness of it and taste it and learn how to be in that moment. And my boys really enjoyed that. And so all the things that contributed, not only just going to therapy for over 30 years, having the same therapist off and on for 30 years, not only the psychotherapy and that work and that healing, but yes, different philosophical studies, different spiritual and religious studies, anything and everything that could help me rewire the trauma that I had gone through as a child and that could help me train my mind to navigate this freaking life in a way that was enjoyable to me, in a way that wouldn't be constant agony every day, constant hating what I'm doing every day. That is despair. I know, and I was busy raising kids. I was busy taking care of a partner who had cancer, who was severe alcoholic. As my kids were getting on into adulthood and before my partner passed away. And no, I didn't focus on going back for that other higher degree. And, I found myself in a pretty bad situation, having to, go back out at almost 50 and work fucking restaurant jobs or wait tables or, um, you know, until I can find something, get back in school or figure out what it is I want to do, there's always that desperate scramble for survival. You know, you're always forced to, yeah, it's a mess. But anyway, I'll give you guys an example. When you are a highly spiritual person, for me anyway, I would train my mind to have the best experience possible. If I had to work a regular job until I could do something better, and of course I'm always going to have my creative projects on the side, what I consider my real work in life, my soul work, not that fucking day job. But whatever place I worked at, whatever restaurant, I don't give a fuck. I worked at McDonald's before, which I really stayed away from corporate. I usually work for privately owned establishments and restaurants because they're much better. They treat you much better. When you start going into places like McDonald's and fast food, you're going to get treated like shit, absolute shit. The vibration there is less than zero. It's unbearable. Um, but here's the thing. If I had to be confined to a certain type of job, I would always try to work it to where it would be at least something I half-ass enjoyed. That's key. Because yeah, let's get real. We gotta work, and sometimes we have to take just any fucking job to get some income coming in to pay bills, to survive, to eat, to be responsible, whatever. But I would always try to find something that I at least half-ass enjoyed. And restaurant, food service, that's where I was for many years. And because of the movement, because of running around all day and answering phones and checking people out and throwing a pizza in the oven and jump over here on the salad line, and you know because of that movement, it would release those natural endorphins and I would feel fucking amazing all day, and the day would pass. And so I didn't mind doing that kind of work as a regular job. I like to get up early. I don't mind going and being accountable to something in this life and being a part of something in this life, especially for young people. I think that's important. But I do understand that people are tired of working themselves to death and being in very low vibrational um, places all day where people are treated horrible and working their ass off for what feels like nothing. I get it. I get everybody's plight. I really do. And that people want to find more fulfilling ways of finding income. They want to find more meaningful. And I know people are feeling that in their 20s, but honey, imagine being almost 50. Okay? Imagine you're fucking staring down the other side, that other chapter in your life, where in the blink of an eye, if you don't do something now, your ass is going to be fucking retirement age and then gone. Imagine how scary that is. That pressure you feel that you're not that young 20 something anymore. But here's the thing, guys, when you're highly spiritual and you are devoted to that path, a lot of times, even if that's not your dream job, even if you can't stand that job really, and it's not really where you want to be, a lot of times highly spiritual people, they are on a different vibrational frequency. They are thinking differently and approaching things differently, and they have trained themselves not to react to certain things a certain way. It's not that we're naive, and it's not that we can't be fierce if we want to be. Okay? It's not that at all. It's just that we have been through so much. We have been through so much suffering. We have been through so much hell. It's humbled us. I've had times where I was just more than happy to have anything, just to be able to show up there and a warm place to work and a place to bring in a little income, a place to get something to eat. Having fucking nothing will humble you. I've been there. Okay? It's a mind game, y'all. You can take any environment that you're in. I had to train myself to do that for many years. Now, as we get older, like I said, it gets a lot harder. And as we continue on through our spiritual ascension process and we get older and older and our frequency ascends more and more, our energy just can't stand it. It does start to become excruciating. I get it. But a lot of years I had to train my mind that no matter where I was working, no matter where I was, I have a choice about what my energy is going to be like today, what kind of experience I'm going to be having today, how I'm going to feel about everything today, what kind of experience and energy I'm going to put out on other people today. That's the thing. They can put you in any four walls they want to, but they can't take this. They can't take what's in here. And if you're letting them, then that's on you. But I do get that some environments just become unbearable to work in. I get that. But for many years, I trained my mind, and I would go into a job, and I don't care what I was doing, whether it was waiting tables, whether it was a cook, short order cook, prep cook, catering, you name it. Worked under a lot of different chefs, hosting, greeting people, seating people, phone orders, you fucking name it, I did it in that industry. And I would train myself that I'm having the most wonderful day here. I would dress up. I would tell myself that I'm going to put the absolute best energy into everything that I'm doing here today, by God. And I don't give a fuck if it's flipping a hamburger. I don't care if I'm running the register. I don't care if I'm waiting those tables. I don't care if I'm scrubbing that floor. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm going to put the absolute best energy, highest quality and soul into this experience today. And I would just have to do a lot of mental work and preparation and adjusting of my frequency before I got to work. So the whole Buddhist thing, the whole Zen thing can also teach you a lot. Bringing yourself back to the present moment. Stop thinking while you're at work, oh, I could be at home. God, I'm not making enough money. Oh, I hate this. Oh, this and that. Stop thinking. Pull yourself back to the present moment. I'm at work. What does this dish feel like? What does this very moment feel like? Oh, look at this tomato. Oh, find things around you and a shifting of the consciousness. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I like that person's dress. It's always something that you have to stay on top of, bringing yourself back to the present moment, feeling the present moment, to stop yourself from running away with anxiety, depression. I could be here, I could be there. This is horrific. This don't feel good. Oh, these thoughts are overrunning me. I know how that feels. So yeah, there were a lot of years that I had to do a lot of mental training. But I would typically stay on jobs that were very fast paced, pressure, 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 go, 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 so that I didn't have time to think. And so that the day would go quickly. And I liked jobs like that, you know. But as I got older, yeah, it got harder and harder trying to fit back into, after a certain amount of years of being self employed, I got out of those industries. I started doing DoorDash for many years. I worked for an auction as a professional driver for many years, and that was right up my alley too. DoorDash was one of my fucking favorite jobs ever because of the freedom and flexibility. Love it if I have to do a regular job. But yeah, it got harder and harder as I've gotten older and my energetic frequency has changed. And here's the thing, guys, before we go to work, here's what I would encounter on a lot of these freaking jobs, to the point where the energy, spiritual gang stalking was another thing. That's a whole other subject that was happening to me. These energies, man. There's something about it when you are on higher vibrational frequency and they sense it. There's something about it, man. When you go into a job with that high vibrational energy, and I'm not talking you're being cocky, you're not being arrogant, you're respectful, you're humble, you get along with everyone, you're pleasant, you have put on that energy, man, and it's authentic. That's how you're different, and that is part of why you're experiencing these energetic attacks at work. I get it. I know. It has happened to me several times. It's because a lot of us, before we go to work, if we have to go on the regular job, we don't carry into that place the same lower vibrational frequency that most everybody else is. Now, don't get me wrong, there were always people on these jobs that were just angels, that were just as high frequency and beautiful and kind and cool, and they too had adjusted their energy for the workday to, I know I gotta be here anyway. There's no point in me coming here with a fucking sourpuss, old, dragged out, miserable ass energy and putting that all over everybody else. I gotta be here anyway, so I'm gonna do the best fucking job I can possibly do. And I'm gonna have the greatest energy and I'm gonna smile at everyone all day. Oh, y'all, don't get me wrong. There were many times back in my younger years, waiting tables, different things, where they would pull me off the floor. They'd be watching me on camera and they would pull me off the floor and back into the office and they'd say, "Look, we're about to send you home. Get that look off your fucking face. You look like shit. You look like you're mad at the customers. You look like you're sad. You look like you're upset." Yeah, there were a lot of times before I learned how to adjust that frequency for work. And that's not fake. That's something I really did put heart and soul into. Some people, it's fake. They really are faking it. And you can tell. You can tell. Anything that I do that I'm going to be a part of, it's going to be real. I'm going to adjust my energy on a real level and really do that work. Um, but yeah, so I had to learn to adjust that frequency at work, and I'm going to be here anyway. But it's different too when you're working with the public or you're sitting behind a cubicle. I could never. I could never. I mean, maybe now that I'm older, if I got to get up and take frequent breaks a lot, but I have never, never wanted a desk job. Never, never wanted to be stuck sitting somewhere all day. Oh, God, no, no. But it's going to be different if you're working with the public and greeting customers, it's going to be very important for you to adjust your frequency and your energy. Or else, yeah, you're going to make the customers feel like shit. I can't tell you the times I've walked into restaurants, fast food or otherwise, and the fucking servers just look like shit. The counter people look like shit. The window person acts like shit. I don't want to eat there. I love it when people truly greet you with an authentically happy, gracious energy. Hey, how are you today? It's good to see you today. Because I'm on the job anyway, I might as well enjoy it and give everybody else that I encounter a good energy and experience while I'm here until I can do better. But see, here's the thing, not everybody adjusts their frequency before they come to work. Not everybody's praying before they come to work. Not everybody's meditating before they come to work. Not everybody is humbling themselves and finding a space of gratitude before they come to work. Not everybody is encouraging themselves that things are going to get better and better for themselves. And, not everybody is in that space, because that's the thing. If you're not having a spiritual life and you don't focus on that kind of thing, then, well, you can get trapped in a very, very dark and negative mindset. Therefore, your frequency is going to stay low, very low vibrational. So, yeah, a lot of times that's the thing, guys. We're going into work with this particular frequency, and the other people, many of the other people there are on a lower vibrational frequency, and whatever those energies are on them, they're dragging in shit from the night before and sleep deprivation and what their boyfriend did and how their baby mama acts and who did what, and they're pissed off and miserable and not having themselves, in a certain alignment, and they haven't really trained that energy yet. They're not adjusting their frequency before they come in or working on any of those types of things, and that's what makes it different. That's what makes highly spiritual, and or sometimes people call it chosen, because they've chosen that path, or they've been chosen to focus on that path, whereas others are not. Doesn't make anybody better, Dan. I'm just saying it's different. And yes, you will experience some attacks. It's almost like energetic attacks when you go into a job with that high frequency, and just the way you do things, the authentic and beautiful energy and high quality and value that you put into things, into anything you touch. The other surrounding energies there are not going to like it. They are going to all kinds of things, all kinds of hatred and envy and attacks on you and drama. I've seen it time and time again. And it almost becomes unbearable to be there because of the way you're treated, simply because you're you, simply because you're authentic and real and want to do a good job and have a certain mindset that they just don't have. Yeah, yeah, I totally relate. The person that commented, about the energies at work. And guys, I have a lot more thoughts on these subjects. This is just kind of a basic shoot the shit run through. But anyway, I'm gonna have to clip this video. It's gotten quite long. Um, but I'll do another live stream. Like I said, I'd really like to start getting up early. And I don't mind even, maybe they'll catch on, maybe they won't. I don't mind for my first few streams, if I don't have a big participation, but it's cool. I mean, if people run across it, but I would like to just experiment with a very early morning stream called the Early Birdie Stream. Just having coffee, enjoying the sunrise. So I'm gonna try that maybe this week and see how it goes. But to conclude, I know that I put in the title the sleep paralysis, out of body experiences, and the beings that so many people report when they're having sleep paralysis. Guys, this will require me to do another stream on it, but I have an entire video series on that topic. I had sleep paralysis for many years of my life. And there's a lot of people that, experts are still kind of unsure why some of us are waking up while we're paralyzed and some of us don't. They're still unclear. They have their theories, but it's a gray area. But to answer some, frequent questions, sleep paralysis is perfectly normal. It is a normal part of the human sleep cycle. It happens to us when we're in REM sleep, in the deepest part of our sleep. It protects us. We are temporarily paralyzed for a few short seconds to minutes at a time while we're so we don't get up and act out our dreams and hurt somebody or hurt ourselves, right? But we're not supposed to be conscious during that time. But some of us are becoming conscious. And that is a big question for me. Why? You know, why do the experts think that some people are becoming consciousness and having to experience? We're not supposed to feel that. We're not supposed to know it. And it feels horrible. It feels like there's something sitting on your chest and you have to fight. And I had it for 5 or 6 years straight until I learned that for me personally, it was a gateway, a portal to getting out of the physical body and into higher dimensions. And so, yes, I've been working on an entire video series about this lately. A lot of videos on my channel right now, and I'm still working on more. They theorize, they think that there is, to put it, paraphrase it, they think that it might be some kind of misfire in the brains of people who are becoming conscious during their paralysis. That they're getting an extra dose of whatever, the neurons are doing something different, and they're getting a dose of what extra dose of whatever chemical would normally put them into the paralysis during REM. It's firing off when they're either about to wake up or when they're just now falling to sleep. Either way, if you're just about to come into consciousness and wake up, or if you're just about to fall to sleep, either way, you're still too conscious. You're not in the deepest part of your sleep yet. And either way, the paralysis should not be coming on at that time. Right? It's weird. It is. It's weird to me. And again, I have researched this recently. I've got, other neuroscience videos I've shared about it. And like I say, it's kind of a gray area for experts. They don't fully know what is going on there. But that's kind of how they explain it, what they theorize. But for me personally, and now I've never met anybody else in my personal life who has gone all the way and described it like this, but I know there are other people in the world. William Bullman, he's one of them, and his books are really good and really helpful. And the Monroe Institute. This shit gets deep, y'all. After about 5 years of terrifying sleep paralysis, I explain this in my videos on the page, how one day I just didn't fight it. It was horrific. And for the first 5 years, I didn't have any other sensations other than just couldn't move. It's dark, it's black, I'm waking up in my mind, I'm stuck, and I feel like I'm going to die if I don't fight myself awake. That would be the only symptoms I would have for the first 5 years. Then everything changed. One afternoon when I was having sleep paralysis and I was just before trying to fight out of it, a voice came to me. Looking back now, I consider it a spirit guide or an angel, and it simply said, out of body experience. It was a very gentle voice, a very kind voice I'd never heard before. Wasn't my voice. And this guide, I heard that part of it, but then telepathically, I didn't hear the next part. It was just telepathically given to me. I was instructed to just let go, just don't fight. And so I did. And what proceeded to happen after that was fucking mind blowing. It changed my life forever. What I was shown, where I was taken, the bodily symptoms. Okay. I've got all this documented in my series here on the channel. And so that started my years of realizing that sleep paralysis is a portal to other dimensions, to the out of body experience, to astral projection. Now, this just came on me spontaneously. I didn't ask for it or study it or want to fucking do it. And it was terrifying, you know, frightening, but profound. And so that began my years of out of body experiences. Oh, that's the Wednesday at noon siren. That began my years of experience where every time, the paralysis would come on me, I had to learn so much that, oh, that means it's time to go. And it's all in my videos, what I had to learn, how I had to work with my mind. But I will say this before I go. In those experiences, as the years went on, every time the paralysis would come on me, I'm going to wait for this siren to go off, y'all, before I tell you this last part. As the years went on, every time paralysis would come on me, before I could release, and it requires that you think very positively, will only keep you stuck. If you hesitate in the slightest, if you feel, you have to think very positively, you have to think about loving things, um, put anything in your mind, someone you love, or a deceased loved one maybe that you want to see, or think about angels, anything positive at that very moment that you're paralyzed and it comes on you, for me personally. And I learned that right when you do that, it's all thought based. Right when you do that is when you begin to rise or spiral. I had many different experiences with it, guys. But over the years, it began to change. The sleep paralysis would change. And not only would I feel stuck and paralyzed, but now, after that very first out of body experience, every single time the paralysis would come on me in my sleep, it would be also accompanied with the feeling that I am vibrating to the point where I'm about to explode. Like like I'm in a jet engine or something. These heavy, vibrating, pulsating, electrical popping, buzzing. Some people report buzzing, humming. Okay, that's the vibrations people are always talking about. At that point is when I learned I was feeling my own vibrational frequency. Everything on this earth has a frequency, has a vibration. It's fucking crazy. It was profound. And so that would make it 1,000 times more intense and scary. And not only that, not only did I have all of those sensations, but just before I could release and get unstuck and get out of body, I also began feeling, not seeing. Some people see them. And I've got a video about this, the beings, okay? The presences, the beings, the presences that you sense around you when you have sleep paralysis. Some people see them. I've even got family members that report seeing a hag. They see demons. They look like ugly. And I have a video about this. I've only seen them visually one time. And I talked about how the one I saw was short and round and fat. I talked about all this in the video about the beings, okay? But for me, it was always feeling dim. I'm paralyzed. It's dark. I can't fucking move. I'm awake in my head, but trapped in my body, right? And vibrating like I'm in a jet engine. It's buzzing and humming and pulsating and electricity popping everywhere. And I'm just at that jump off point where I need to release from the physical body. I need to start thinking forward motion, up, angels, love, positive, so that I can get out and get into higher dimensions. But I would always feel these presences around me, and yes, it would scare the shit out of me. I couldn't see them, and that's even worse than seeing them. But I would just feel it. Like, it's so hard to explain. It's a different type of feeling. Picking up on that energy, and could almost hear them breathing, but not hear in the traditional sense. This is more extrasensory type shit. We're talking, more clairaudiently, more. It's just an energy thing, and they're always there. They are always there. Every time I have sleep paralysis for years, I could feel these beings all around me, and it would scare me. And so at times I thought, well, can they get in? Once I go out, can they get in my body? Are they just trying to scare me? What the hell is this? Everything would be really unclear. And so what I had to learn is no, they can't. This is all in my videos. The astral plane, there's the lower astral, middle astral, upper astral, and then on up into higher and higher dimensions of consciousness. That lower astral is what is closest to our physical dimension. And so every time we start to slip out of body, right when we're having sleep paralysis, that's the portal opening. For me personally, this is my experience, okay? And so we're slipping right into the lower astral, and I feel like we have to go through the lower astral to get to the higher dimensions. That was my experience every time. Those are just lower dimensional, lower astral beings that hang out in the lower astral realm, thought forms, and they can't hurt you. They want to feed on your fear. They want to keep you in fear and keep you stuck. Because I feel like we go out to higher dimensions and get energy, recovery, light. We go visit deceased loved ones. We go visit angels. Because every time I would get out, that's where I would go. Higher and higher dimensions. And it was never really clear like here. But I would always see cosmic lights and beautiful things, and then I would fall back unconscious. So I have a video on my page talking about those lower astral beings and my experience with them and what I had to learn to do with them. No fear. No fear. You have to ignore them. All right, guys. So I at least wanted to attempt to cover everything I wrote in the title, even if I didn't have long to talk about it. Well, anyway, I'm going to sign off. Check my comments. And everybody that came by for my first live stream, thank you. Thank you for checking in with me and saying hello. And I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys again. This was just kind of my first experiment stream. And I will see you guys again, okay? Thanks for tuning in. Now, how do I get out of here? I really don't know. I swear to God. How do you end the stream? Do you just push X? Chat filter. No, I don't want that. Highlight saved to your channel as unlisted. No, I don't want that. I guess I just push X. Push the X. Bye, guys.